Well, good day and welcome to you. It is June the 3rd. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you happen to be. My name is Gary Willing. I want to welcome you to Search for Signs. And I also want to point out, if you're new to this information and you want to know more, I do think the best thing to do is to investigate this for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Look into this and see what you can do for yourself. And if you check out some of the websites that I provided links for in the description portion of these videos, it might give you some better information than even I could give you about it, and then you'll really know if there's something to this for yourself or not. So hopefully you'll look into it. I do want to thank Carl Martin, Thomas Lynch, and Perry Weeks for taking the time out of their schedule to comment in the last video. I really do appreciate everybody who comments, asks questions. Thank you so much for doing that, guys. Appreciate it. All right, now I also wanted to say I had intended on talking about something totally different, and at the last second, I just picked up the book that I read, Benjamin Creme's Masters articles from, and I opened to this page, and I was like, you know what? I think it's better that we talk about this. I don't want to put too much of my commentary on it. That's why I like to talk about it and kind of set it up beforehand, but it's always better for you to read these articles for yourself. You can do that, and you don't even have to buy anything. Just go to the Share International site if this interests you and check out that little tab to the left entitled Articles by the Master. This article might be in it, it might not, but there are several articles written by this master that you can read for yourself. Helps you to internalize what he's saying a lot better than just hearing me say it, for sure. But if you don't know anything about this information, it gives you a really good sense of the ideas of these masters, what they're about, the priorities that they have for humanity, what it means that the teacher is coming back for humanity, and also how are they going to teach humanity better than you can find anywhere else. And if you already know this information and are aware of the masters, know of their existence, same thing I think goes for you too. It really gives you a much better sense about what these masters are about, kind of like what makes them tick, than you could anywhere else. And the best way to do it is to read it for yourself and internalize it for yourself. So that's my little disclaimer. So I'm not saying you should only hear about me reading it. You should really go and read this for yourself. And don't just take it on the one reading that you got it. Read it, put it aside, think about it a little bit here or there if you want, and then come back and read it again, and it might make some more sense. But if you're somebody like me, and I'll set this article up like this, if you're somebody like me who watches a lot of news and is maybe getting to the point where you almost just can't stand either side of it because it just seems like both sides are just yelling and nothing's getting done. It's quite frustrating, especially if you're deeply concerned, as I am, about the future of humanity, whether we're going to get this right or not in time and so forth. And it just seems like we're burning daylight here for no reason and nothing's getting done. This article, I think, might give you a bit of hope. If you're somebody who's also, and if you take the time to listen to this video all the way through or even read the article yourself, hopefully, like I said, which is better, the tail end of it, he starts talking about our connection with the higher humanity on these other planets in our system, like Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. Now, I do need to set it up like this too, because especially if you're new, you might not realize that there are humanity on every one of the planets in our solar system. You might be aware of the evidence of the existence of this humanity by seeing videos of UFOs. If you read in the news not too long ago where there's congressional hearings about some of the reports coming from the Pentagon about UFOs, quite fascinating stuff. There's actually a link in the description portion of this video that you can actually go and watch videos about, these congressmen talking with the people from the Pentagon and so forth about this stuff. It's just the beginning of the realization that we are not alone in the universe. But he talks about how in the very near future we will start to know more and more about this humanity and how they've been here helping us. They mean us no harm and so forth. And Maitreya will inaugurate that time, and he talks about it. But the humanity on these other planets is not living in another dimension. They are living on one or other of the higher levels of physicality called the etheric. Unknown to modern science at this time, most scientists think of and know the universe to only have solid, liquid, and gas, and that's it. Well, according to these masters, there's other levels of physicality, actually 4 levels above gas, known as the etheric. If you want to know more about that, check out who and what Wilhelm Reich did and who he was. He actually was a scientist who he stumbled across it. It's quite an extraordinary discovery. He called it the orgon, but he discovered the lowest level of the etheric planes just above gas. He discovered it over 100 years ago. And eventually scientists will start to prove in their labs the existence of this other levels of physicality. Goes hand in hand with the pollution and so forth coming from nuclear reactors, but we won't talk about that today. But because that's affecting the etheric planes and not affecting the solid, liquid, and gas as we would think. But that's what's making humanity sick. It's making the lower kingdom sick and so forth. But that's when these masters talk about UFOs and the occupants of those UFOs are talking about them coming from one or other levels of this higher level of physicality. And so when we see these spaceships in our skies, when pilots report on seeing UFOs flying all over the place, and there's evidence all over the place, thousands of reports, if not millions of reports by now we're starting to see video evidence of it and so forth. These spaceships and the people in the spaceships had to lower their vibration down enough to where we could see it. And then they raise the vibration back up to where they are, and that's when it looks like they disappear and go into a whole other dimension. But what did he have to say about the way to the stars? It will soon become apparent that humanity has come to an impasse through which there is no obvious pathway. The blind following of market forces has brought the nations to a standstill. In their fierce battle for markets and profits, some tread more carefully as their economies falter, while others, especially the newly rich, soldier on, intent on even greater riches and growth. Slowly it is dawning on the more experienced that all is not well, that the future looks bleaker than it should, that the ever-dreaded slump may not be far off. One might almost say that a new realism is beginning to show itself. In this situation, there is only one way for the governments of the world to go. A way so new, so imponderable, it would seem that almost no thought has been given to its realization. This new way is the cornerstone of Maitreya's advice to the nations. It is a way untried, and yet so obvious in its efficiency that men will be astonished by the success of their actions when it is implemented. The way is sharing, the straightforward demonstration of the oneness of humanity. This principle of sharing brings into manifestation the quality of divinity. When men share, they will reveal themselves as potential gods. Nothing is so truly divine as this great gesture of brotherhood. When men see this, they will enter into a new definition of themselves and will begin the establishment of the era of righteousness. So will it be. When Maitreya enters the lives of men and brings his counsel, a new chapter will open for men. They will know that they are not alone in this vast universe. They will know that there are many other worlds in which their brothers work for them, saving them from much harm. Maitreya will inaugurate the era of contact with these, their far-off brothers, and will establish a future of mutual interaction and service. Thus will it be. My friends, these are not idle dreams, but the considered words of one who knows. Take heart, therefore, and be prepared for this enlargement of your vision and capacity for service. Maitreya will show you that the way to the stars is a feasible journey of enlightenment. He will show that the units of the one life manifest themselves throughout cosmos, that until now this knowledge has been withheld from men, but will provide a sure path for the future generations to follow. Much depends, therefore, on man's response to Maitreya's guidance. Men have indeed the choice to remain as men, stunted in their growth, in the growth of their magnificence, or to become what in truth they are, veritable gods. Maitreya is sure that men will respond from their hearts and that he will guide them towards their destiny. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.